Welcome everyone to session 5. Today we are going to talk about dun 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 email marketing. Last time we talked about your social media marketing. Where if you have to have a starting point, you want to get social first. That's the easiest, fastest place to get started. From there, I want you to get your website up and running and be able to put those blog posts on your website. But then the other piece of that is being able to do email marketing. So I know there was a time when people just kept talking about a lot of spam and they just got junk in their email. So that's really what we're going to talk about today, is how not to be seen as spam. You want to be seen as valuable content, and somebody looks forward to when your newsletter or your article or whatever you're sending shows up in their inbox, that they have you whitelisted so that they get all of your good content, and they want to engage with your brand. So email marketing basically is directly marketing a commercial message to a group of people using email. In its broadest sense, every email sent to a potential or current customer could be considered email marketing. It usually involves using email to send ads, request business, or solicit sales or donations, and is meant to build loyalty, trust, or brand awareness. And now when you use terms like send ads, request business, or solicit sales or donations, that sounds very spammy. So we have to do it in a way that people don't see as actually doing those things. We have to make it personalized, we have to make it engaging, and we have to make it as if they are the only one in the world getting that email. That's the trick. And all the pieces that we've done up to this is leading you to be able to do that easier because you know who you're talking to. You've picked your target customer. You can give them a name and a face and an age and a career and a home life so that you're talking to that person the same way you're talking to them when you're writing your blog posts and doing your social media posts. It's that one person that represents your ideal customer. That's going to keep you safe in all this. Okay? So how do we collect these people? How do we get them on our quote-unquote list? You always hear about building your list, building your list. Well, once you have your website up, you need to have an opt-in. And an opt-in is basically a little box that collects the email address. Sometimes you can take a name and an email address, which I absolutely recommend, and then say, sign me up or join us. And I've got 2 examples, very, very basic ones on the screen, just to show you what it looks like. But it's a place where customers can sign up and get information from you. Now, the best way to get them to do that is to give them something worth taking the time to give you their name and email address. Hold on one second. I am going to show you an example. Oops. Can't see me just messing up buttons all over the place over here. I love my little pause screen. Oops, gosh darn it. Come on now. Okay. There we go. Okay, so this may be a familiar website to many of you, but basically, this is what I do. Right over here, see this free download, 10 reasons eBay is better than Amazon? That's my opt-in. That is my way to collect those names and email addresses so that people get on my list and start getting my newsletter. That is how I collect those for my Niche to Success business. So if you are a clothing seller, using one of your good articles, and let me just use as an example, let's go to Busy Bethy, my shining example. So you've got Busy Bethy. Now I would encourage Beth to get her There's her opt-in. I was going to say, I'd encourage you to get that up here, but I see what you've done. So she's got a little plug-in here that as soon as you go to leave the page, it pops down and says, join the inside style e-zine. And she's telling me, mine is not good at all. Need to change it. No, yours is fine, Beth. It's fine. You guys, everything can be better. Everything can always be improved. There's always going to be upgrading and doing something different. I want you to encourage you to stop knocking your stuff, okay? Because, and maybe Beth, you can tell me, I'm going to put you on the spot here, is your list growing? Are you getting more people to sign up? She says very, very slowly. Well, guess what? That's still a yes. So can we work on things to make it better and get them to sign up more? Absolutely. But they are signing up. So she says she's also got it down here at the bottom, join the Inside Style e-zine. So yes, what I would recommend to Beth, now that I'm seeing this, is give them a guide. Give them a guide to download, something that's going to be of interest to them. I know we've talked about a few different things in that, because it's not just then signing up for an e-zine, which sounds like, oh yeah, well, I'm going to get something in my email, I don't know. But if you actually give them a downloadable product right away, they're much more likely to sign up on your list. Okay? The other thing you can do is simply send an invitation to all of your customers. You know, make it maybe a weekly thing that you do. You take all the email addresses of everybody who bought something from you that week, and you invite them to get continued information from you. Whatever your opt-in is here, now it's easiest if you can use the same opt-in but use it through your email. There's ways to do that so that it is tracking correctly when they go to give you that information. And then it's called a CRM, Customer Relation Management Software. Aweber, MailChimp, Constant Contact, Infusionsoft, that's what all of those things do. So you're going to have to pick one of those to use, and then they're going to keep track of all that for you. And I know it sounds very complex, but it truly isn't once you get the hang of it. As we were talking about before the call, things that you don't know, you just don't know. They're not good, they're bad, they're hard or easy. You just don't know them, right? Once you learn them, you've got them. They just are. So I want to encourage you to stop saying things are too hard or complicated, okay? And I'm speaking to myself here too. It's simply a matter of figuring it out so that it's no longer one of those things that you have to learn. And there is no shame in going slower than somebody else and learning this stuff. And some pieces you're going to get faster. It's okay. It's all good as long as you're always making forward progress. That's what's important, forward progress. All right. Let me get back to our screen here. And then what you're going to want to set up after they've gone and opted in and given you their name and email, you want to thank them. It's a really simple concept, but you would be surprised how many times I go to get a free download or something and I don't get a thank you. It's really important to customers. So a really simple thank you and set their expectation, okay? And this can be set up to be automated as well through all those ways that I told you. And like in this one, this example, thank you. Your free downloads will be in your inbox shortly. Set expectation, okay? So let's talk about now the actual emails. There are parts of an email. Probably the most important is the subject line, because the subject line is the piece that is going to get them to open it and read it or not. It's the compelling part. It's the teaser, right? How many of you delete an email just based on what the subject line says, if it's not interesting to you. As I thought. All the time. Yes, same here. That subject line has to grab me. It has to make me want to read further, right? Okay, so very, very important subject line. Next, of course, is your content. The content has to be then in line with the subject line, and you set their expectation, they opened it. You can't be, boring, you can't be salesy. You have to give what your customer wants to read. Now, you can get away with making a lot of mistakes here because people are really good with the delete button. But what will happen over time if you're not connecting with that customer over several emails, they're going to end up hitting the unsub button. And that's what we're trying to avoid. But the ones that stay, man, those are your really good potential customers. So it's just a matter of figuring out how you convert their interest in your brand into sales. Okay, and then last of all, call to action. You have to have a call to action in every single email. Now that is not always go buy something. Many times it will be, but a call to action can be just to ask them a question that they could possibly engage with you. It can be, say, please like us on Facebook. It can be share something with you. Whatever that is, you want to make sure it's very clear and there's only one in every email. You just want one call to action, okay? So now I am going to give you a whole bunch of tips on how to create that content and what will be engaging to your customers. And I am going to share this as a file over in the Facebook group when we're done. So you're going to be able to refer back to it because you probably won't remember every single one of these. So don't worry about writing them all down. I am going to share these with you. Tip 1. Make your customers part of the content. So this could be a call to action, is where you ask your customers to share a fun picture or a fun story or a recipe, or to share something with you that you can highlight them and tell them how awesome they are. Yes, that's my hubby trying on a really, really silly hat for me in Goodwill. Oops, did we miss? We missed 2. Well, look what I did. I skipped a tip. I'm going to have to go back and figure out what tip 2 was supposed to be. It's a mystery. So we're going to skip to 3. Tip 3, show that you care. And you can do that, just reaching out. Maybe you keep track of customers' birthdays or anniversaries, or you do something special around that, or send them some type of a holiday greeting. Tip 4, ask for feedback. Perfectly okay to ask your customers what they think about something. In fact, I will tell you a quick story. I'm sure many of you, most of you, have heard about Death Wish Coffee. Did you know that the owner of Death Wish Coffee, Mike Brown, he actually had a coffee shop in New York. I forget exactly what city in New York, but it was not doing so good. And he was borrowing money from his mom to keep it open. It was struggling. And he says he started listening to his customers. They kept coming in going, what's your strongest coffee? What's your strongest coffee? And he thought, I'm going to go search. What is the strongest coffee? So he did a little research and found that nobody was marketing strongest coffee. So guess what he did? He developed Death Wish Coffee, world's strongest coffee. And you can see they are absolutely blowing it out of the water, and even got a Super Bowl commercial this past year just because of social media outreach and engaging with their customers and people just knowing them and them being real. And they're just growing by leaps and bounds, adding products. It's a really cool thing, but it all goes back to they listened to what their customers needed and then grew their business based on that. So listen to your customers. Social proof. Anybody have a presence on Yelp? Anybody utilize that? I tell you, especially if you have a service-based business, Yelp is what comes up in Google to have people checking out if they want to do business with you. You can also get your business on Yelp as an online business. So I highly recommend it, and be watching for that social proof, and you can actually direct your customers over there to leave you a Yelp review. It has a lot of clout carried with it, and can definitely get you some more business. Get personal. Share things with your customers, potential customers, that makes you human to them. Yes, that's not a real tattoo, you guys. That was a little, what do you call that? Airbrushed. It was airbrushed. They just zoop, zoop, put a little airbrush on. We were all doing those at the eBay Open event. But be willing to be a little bit vulnerable and let your customers get a glimpse inside what's going on. You know, share a story of something that happened with one of your employees, or just get personal. Make conversion a habit. And what I mean by that is, if you do something on a regular basis, use the same call to action so that they get used to clicking on the same thing. And I'm sure many of you recognize that little click here, register now button. I've been using that now for 6 years and getting people to sign up for webinars. So just be consistent with that. Tell them what to do next. So often I get an email and it was a great read, but it was like, okay, it didn't tell me what they wanted. Didn't say contact us, sign up, download this now, give us your feedback. People need instruction. They need very, very clear, what do you want me to do? Okay? Keep readers on their toes. So don't become overly predictable. And what I mean by that is, if they think they're going to open up and see the same thing week after week after week, it's going to start just becoming part of the background. So you want to throw things out there that catch them, maybe give them some anticipation of things to come. You'll see me doing that lately with the time machine shopping experience. In fact, keep an eye, now that we have a location and we're going forward, you're going to see me putting a lot of teasers out there and anticipation and building excitement so that it keeps my readers on their toes. You know, another good example of what that means too is, how many of you watch a television series and every week is a continuation of the story? One of my favorites right now is Suits. And they always, at the end, do what? Even if you're not watching TV these days, you probably remember watching TV where they do this. It's a preview, but what does that preview do? Bait you for the next week. Yes, they tell you just enough to make you start thinking about what's going to happen. They set the suspense. They build you up to make sure that you come back next week. So your emails can do the same thing. They can do little teasers. They can keep your readers on their toes so that they're looking for your next email. Don't use the same subject line every time. And again, the most important thing is your subject line. Now, an exception to this rule that I actually found out was when you have a membership and people are used to getting their membership newsletter, don't switch up the title on them. They get upset. I did that once several months ago. I thought, well, I was going to do the Appster newsletter a little different, and I had people say, oh, well, I didn't get it because you changed the title and I had my filter set for that title. So if it's something they expect to have coming from you every week where they're already engaged, don't change the title. But for marketing purposes, marketing emails, you do want to use a subject line that's going to catch their interest and make them open up that email. Use referral codes. And what I mean by that is when you're putting something through a marketing plan, you want to be able to track the ROI or the return on your investment. So if you spent money, say, on a Facebook ad, and now you're promoting that through your email, you want a different code to know if the people came through your Facebook or did they come through your email. So you assign just some kind of a little promo code or a referral code so that you can tell where they came from. And here's a couple examples of companies who do things like that. So you've got Uber up here, give 30, get 30. They don't do that anymore. Now it's 20. But they have share code. So what you would have to do is use this share code, and then they could track that it came through this particular mailing that they had sent you. Down here, tell friends, earn free months. I don't even know. Oh, it's Dollar Shave Club. So they give you a unique link, and that unique link has a code so that if somebody signs up, they know that it came from you. So it just gives you a way to track your customers' behavior if you give them little codes or special links and things. Use buttons. Buttons are really good for those of us who are very visual. There's just something about a button that is more compelling than just the words click here. I like to use both. I like to use click here, but also give a button that has the link. I also do that for sending people to a website. I'll hyperlink it, but then I'll also use a logo or something and make that clickable as well. Remind readers what you do. So often we get caught up in marketing. We forget to go back and really remind them what it is we do and why we do what we do. So an example of that is if you're putting a lot of content out there, let's say several of you have a niche plus-sized women's clothing. So you're putting articles, about weight loss and healthy recipes and all this stuff. But if you forget to remind your readers that you actually do sell plus-size fashion, they could forget too. So you do need to remind them what you do. Make people happy. People love fun, cute, inspirational, things that make them smile. So don't forget to send people things that make them smile. Tap into social trends and current events. This is big, guys. People are in tune to what's going on in their world, and you should know what's important to your customer and what they're going to be in tune with. So use those things in your subject lines. Don't be afraid to tap into that. Does Pokemon Go figure into your business somewhere? For some of you, I can say absolutely yes. For others, not so much. Or maybe going back to that, if you are say writing articles about weight loss, use Pokemon Go as the latest, exercise trend or something. But you want to use that stuff that's buzzing because people are already hearing about it, wanting to get more information about it. So don't be afraid to use that. I would probably, the Olympics, another good one. Thank you, Wendy. But I would probably stay away from, anybody guess what I'm going to say? There's two subjects you should probably be very, very careful with. Yes, politics and religion. Those can be tricky because even though you know your ideal customer, they can have differences in that area. So just gotta be careful with that. Or find a way to use it in a way that is shall we say, bipartisan. It's like right down the middle. Tip 16, don't forget to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you can never be said enough. People love to hear the words thank you. So, and sometimes this can be in the form of an exclusive previous customer, appreciation day. So you give them a 10, 15, 20% off sale for past customers only, say, make people feel very special, which goes into my next tip of make them part of an exclusive club. So you make a VIP customer club thing. So once they buy from you, now you send them things that show them that they're part of something really special. They get special deals. You're announcing a newly arriving inventory to them first for first chance, to buy things that just make them feel exclusive. You guys know loyalty cards do this. I mean, you look, how many people go to a place just because they have the little punch card that they get to go? They're not saving any money. Come on, that's all figured into the pricing of everything. But you feel like you've got this little special thing, that you're part of something exclusive. So you get in on that. Make an announcement. So if you're adding a new product line or you're having a closeout, or some of you are launching a change in your brand, those are all great things to make an announcement about and let the world know. Can't be a success if you're a secret, right? So don't be afraid to make announcements that tell your customers and potential customers what's going on. Gamify the process. And again, I'm going back to Pokemon Go. How can you make things fun? How can you make things maybe some kind of a little scavenger hunt thing? I don't know. Think of really creative ways. If you're lacking in the creative process, ask those who are creative for some ideas. We can do this over in the Facebook group too, by the way. But come up with really fun, engaging ways for people to engage with your brand. How about this? Combine more than one of these tips. So you can mix and match and use these together. And, depending how many emails you're sending out, send a different type each time, but really play around and learn what works for your customer, learn what comes easiest to you to do, and what's the easiest to track the ROI and see what works. And again, I will share this over in the Facebook group, and I'll go back and find number 2 because I can't remember what number 2 was, but I must have written over it instead of making a new slide. So some things to remember. Email is alive and well, okay? Don't let anybody tell you that email marketing is dead. Do we need to be creative? Do we need to be more personal? Absolutely. Oh my gosh, I can't even count how many email lists I've gotten on over the last few years. And I can tell you the ones that I stay on give me information I can use. They are very nicely organized, so it's easy for me to find the information. And I don't feel like I'm being spammed to. I know they're selling something. I know they all have something to sell. But if all I feel like is they're just throwing products in my face, those are the ones I get rid of. I unsubscribe from. It's also the reason I don't like the eBay newsletter sign up and the automated stuff they send out. Can we fine tune that a little bit? Yes, but it's still just the same thing every time the customer gets it, and it's basically an in your face, here's my products for sale. Big deal. Everybody's got products for sale. I want you guys to be better than that and engage with your customers so that you're not another eBay seller putting your stuff out there. Does that make sense? Good. All right. So email is alive and well, and people are signing up for things. I get new signups on my email list every single day because I'm offering something of value. Okay? So that's the biggest thing. People open email on their mobile devices now. So that is another thing to keep in mind. Gone are the days of big headers and bright templates and all that. You want to make it as easy as possible for people on their email, on their mobile devices to open those emails. So make sure that your email service is also sending those emails out in a fashion that's called responsive, meaning it all fits on the mobile device, the phone or the tablet or whatever that is, in a way that people can read it. And build your list and you build your business because it's a numbers game. You are always going to get people who don't open your emails. It is going to happen. You're going to get people who unsubscribe from your emails. It's going to happen as long as your building number keeps going. Your business will grow because that means that you are attracting more people than are leaving, which is the goal. And as you fine tune and learn to talk to that customer better, they'll buy more. It just happens. How many of you, let me ask you this, how many of you get emails from some sort of major retailer that comes into your inbox? You guys are all going, me, 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 me. Yes, we all do it, right? And why don't we unsubscribe? We don't buy every time, right? We don't say every single time one of those emails comes, I'm going to go buy something. But that one time they send just the right thing that resonates with you, boom, you're clicking over there, right? I know because I do it all the time. Yes, and that's, really study that because that's exactly the same thing you can do. You're going to give information. You're going to give great content, and you do want to let them know that you have products for sale. Don't be ashamed of your products for sale. You do put that in the mix too. You just have to find that balance between people unsubscribing because it's too spammy and buying because they love what they see. And it's a process. You have to work through it, but it does work, and it works really well. Okay, so there's a 5-second test, and you can use the Facebook group to do this as well. So before sending an email to your list, send it to a trusted friend or colleague and ask them if they can quickly tell what your call to action is. Okay? 5 seconds, man, they should be able to tell what that call to action is right away. So if so, you're golden, send it. If not, you need to work on it until that call to action is very, very clear. Because it's the call to action is how you're going to gauge whether that email was a success or not. And it's not always a sale, so you can't just judge it by sales, but maybe it is, share a post on Facebook, or like my Facebook page, or leave a review, or respond with. Any one of those types of things is your gauge of success and conversion, okay? Just remember that conversion is not always a sale, because how many touches does it take before somebody makes their first buy with a brand? It's about, I think we're up to about 13 now. Used to be 7. Now you just have to keep in front of them and keep in front of them and keep in front of them. So Just keeping track of what works and what doesn't is going to help you do more of what works. All right, who's ready for some ta-da steps? Ta-da! So you all got the email marketing worksheet. And you will see up at the top now, I'm asking you to put in your business name and tagline. And the reason I want you to write that now every week when we have a worksheet is that I want it to really stick with you what your tagline is, so it comes really natural when you're talking to people, okay? And then you have a checklist to start seeing how many of these things you have in place. Standalone website we talked about last time. Some of you are still working on that. If you guys are still having trouble with that, please reach out over in the Facebook group. Let's get that up and running for you. And then you're going to want to put Google Analytics. It's an installation that once you have your website, it's a free install, but that's going to help you track and see who's coming to your website. Email marketing application. I put down there Aweber is the one that I prefer and recommend. It's the one I used for several years, and actually I still use it for some things, but I use Infusionsoft, which I don't recommend anybody jump into Infusionsoft. It is really, really, really more than most people need, but I'm managing like 20 gazillion things with it. So, but there's MailChimp, there's Constant Contact, any one of those you can use. Your opt-in freebie. So you want to come up with what is that thing, a report, a guide, you know, some sort of a download that will entice people to give you their name and email address. Set your consistency. How often are you going to email people? And if you are not comfortable with weekly, then don't choose weekly. Be realistic. Remember those SMART goals. So know yourself and know what you're going to do and start with that amount and be committed to it. Now, if you start with a month and then you start in the middle going, you know what, this is just not often enough, I encourage you to bump it up to at least biweekly. Twice a month would really be the minimum I would want you to be in front of your list, okay? Weekly is better. Invite all new customers to get your freebie. So once you have these things set up, you now want to start at every sale, and you can do this in batches, but you want to invite them to become, you know, part of your list so you can stay in front of them, and you do that by giving them something, right? It's not saying, do you want to sign up for my newsletter? Do you want to sign up to get emails from me? It's always about, would you like a fill in the blank? You know, would you like my guide on? Okay. Rules of email marketing I have down there. Content they will love. Easy way to opt out, unsubscribe. That's really important so you don't get reported as spam. Images linked to item for sale, but don't directly sell it. So that's another little stealth way. If you're not directly selling something, you can still have an image of something that if somebody clicks on it, it goes to your listing. All right, always invite, always invite. It's always invitation. Any questions on that? We're good on the email marketing form? Cool, cool, cool. All right, so you're going to fill that out, and then you're going to work on creating your opt-in form if you haven't done so already. Lots of help over in the Facebook group on this. Several have already done this, so don't be afraid to ask questions and ask for some help. Oh, where do you get the stuff for a freebie? Well, that will be something either you create or you go have written for you. Or it could be a coupon. It could just be a, you know, a coupon code. That's not my favorite method because if they weren't ready to buy, they're probably not ready for a coupon code, right? That could, you have to test the waters there. I like to give them something that's of value right away so that I can stay in front of them. Okay, so you're going to want to create your opt-in form, create your thank you for opting in, and make sure that you're delivering what that freebie is. And then I want you to create at least 3 emails for your list. And these are things like you can create them over like in a Word document and just save them. Whenever something strikes you like it would be a good idea for an email, write it down, save it. Save it and see where it fits in with your plan. I keep a notebook with me at all times. Husband thinks I'm crazy. Sometimes I'll like already be falling asleep at night and then I pop awake and I have to write something down. You too. Okay, it's not just me. All right, any questions, guys? I know if you have fallen behind in some of the work, this may start to seem a little overwhelming, and I want to be sure that you're checking in and making sure that you're getting the help you need, you're getting the direction you need so that that doesn't happen, because I don't want anyone to get overwhelmed and then stop. No stopping. We have to keep moving forward, keep moving forward. Sharon, great question. What is spaghetti marketing? That's part of the email marketing worksheet. Spaghetti marketing really has to do with the visual of checking if your spaghetti's done by throwing it against the wall and seeing what sticks. Am I the only one who did that? So that's basically a lot of the marketing you see eBay sellers and e-commerce sellers doing out there. It's like, oh, well, I'm just going to throw this out there. Oh, I'm just going to throw, oh, you know what? I got to get a post. Let me just throw something out there. I really want you guys to have a plan. I want you to have a plan and get the automation in place. Okay? Good, good, good. All right. All right. No freezing. One foot in front of the other. One little step at a time. Every single one of you can do this. You can do this. You might need to ask for help. And I'm gonna tell you, my millionaire friend, when I asked him, what is the secret to your success? And he said, I'm in trouble and I need help. I'm in trouble and I need help. And it's a hard thing to say sometimes because our little brain does this thing goes, oh my gosh, if you have to ask that question, you are just stupid. That is just a stupid question. I'm not going to put it out there. And then you shrink away and you don't participate and the stuff doesn't move forward and you feel like a failure, right? Well, we're not going to have any of that. I promised you at the very first session that was not going to be the way this worked. But you do have to ask for help where you need it because I am not a mind reader. I can do a lot of things, but I can't get inside your brain. So if you are struggling, please reach out on the Facebook group and let's get you over whatever hurdle is in your way. All right? We can start conversations over there. All the questions that you have, we can get those answered over on the Facebook group. All right, everyone. Thank you again. We actually finished on time today. Ta-da! All right, you're in the home stretch for putting all of these pieces together. And just know that once all the pieces are in place, that's when the magic really starts happening and you can start improving and recreating and coming up with new things, okay? So right now we're just getting all these pieces in place so that you can keep moving forward. You guys are asking questions about specific email programs. Let's have those conversations over on the Facebook group. Only because if this goes on the recording and 5 years from now somebody listens to this, those programs could have totally changed. So we want to keep current information on here, and we'll have those conversations on the Facebook group. All right, guys. Go be profitable and make it fun. We'll see you next time.